Hello everyone, Alan here, going over another day's worth of trading. This is for Friday, 11/26, the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, last week, and we're going to go ahead and just get started. I have up on the screen my first trade. Let's see, I believe I traded 4 times this day, 2 wins, 2 losses, and ultimately was down $24, $25. My first trade was on BFRI. This was the biotech. I traded it on day one, came out with news, and started spiking. So, excuse me. So I initially during post and pre-market didn't really do too much, and then, around 8 o'clock, as you could see in the top left, spiked up, pushed past the previous day's high of day, and then held above that or just above that. So if I zoom in here, you could see at this level, it just held right above. So I was eager to get into trading this. We'll go ahead and zoom in on the 5-day 1 minute so we can go over my trade, or trades, because I traded it a couple times. My first trade was 932. I bought here at 708. It spiked up, dipped back down to that level. Previous resistance becomes future support. I know that that's not an exact science, but I was risking VWAP and that support level here. And when it put in this weak higher or weak high push, and then it put in one that was slightly lower here, and I saw that it started cracking, I just took it off. Small loss, 0.93%, not that big of a deal. So that's okay. I should give these things a little bit of time during the morning to show me what they're going to do through the technical analysis, but I'll just keep improving every day. Just got to keep moving forward. Next, BFRI. I rebought at 939, which is right on this candle at 698, right about there. So it put in a higher low based on the pre-market, and I'm risking this low of day, not pre-market, but this low of day. And came up, put in a higher high here, but dipped again. So at 943, right into here, it didn't reach the lows that 942 had, so I added into this low at 687, right about here. So I added, let me change the color of that so it's not confusing. And then we got a nice little pop. I only took, I think, about half of the move here. So I sold the entire position at 947, right in here, at 709, 710. So, I got my average down to, around low 690s and sold 710. Ended up making, just under 2.5% on it. Um, Not a great trade. I took what was there. I took a portion of what was there. But what I really should have paid attention to was the potential for this thing to really push. Um, and I just need to be more patient with these moves. I mean, it showed that I put in a higher low, and I immediately sold before it even touched or attempted to push these highs, really. Um, but then again, it could just be getting weaker and crack and fade off. So, got to protect, got to take your gains, but I'm sure over time I'll just get more accustomed to how I want to play each individual trade. So we'll move into trade number 3. Same ticker, BFRI. I got in initially. This one was a bad entrance. Let me move this out of the way. Because I bought into strength here. I didn't want to miss this breakout, and that's where... Did I just move that level there? I think I did, didn't I? Let me double check that. Yeah, I had this just a little lower. because this is where it touched that line the most. I mean, yeah, you could put one at the very top, but I want to see where it can touch the most. Um, so we'll get into this trade number 3 here. Let's see, 948. Right, a minute past when I sold the other one, I entered again, probably because I was upset that I missed that it was continuing to spike. Um, and I got in at 720, not a great entry. So I got in up here, not a great entry. That is right into resistance. I mean, obviously it pushed here and later on in the day, but if this was toppy, or if this was the top, you're buying right into a top. So not a smart move buying into strength. I need to work on that. But then it dipped, or excuse me, at 9:51 I added again, or I added for the first time I should say, at 7:15. I thought that it was really holding above VWAP here, so I bought in again at small size, averaged down to 717. Not a good add either, because you want to add when you see significant changes in price, at least I would think. And me adding into a price that's right next to where I already am, it doesn't do much for my average, and also it opens the door for double the potential losses if this thing does crack and start showing price action of bearish price action, I should say. So let me add another here, because I added another time at 9:54 right into this candle. Let's see, 688. So I got a good price on this ad. Um, I saw that it was testing the lows, the higher lows here, and that these in between this area was going to be my risk, or was my risk, with ultimate risk of 660 being the where I'd have to sell. So not a good initial position, not a good ad. This really should have been my initial position, but moving on. And then I went ahead and sold I sold once, 1/3 of my position at 7:30, or excuse me, at 10:03 at 7:13, right here, because I thought that this was now not reclaiming VWAP. I thought this was looking bearish under it, and it's not really putting in another high. It's actually lower than the second high. So I lost a little bit of confidence, took a little bit of size off here, and ended up taking, from the initial position, I ended up taking a small, under 1% loss on that. So not bad, but I still had these two positions, which averaged out to, about 7. Um, so obviously it spiked up and halted here, and I sold the rest in this candle. I sold the other 2/3 at the same time, and I sold them right at the top before the halt here. And as you can see, I mean, it pushed close to 833. It looks like 833. Yeah. So I left a little bit on the table because of that halt, but I'm not going to complain. That ultimately ended up being, you know, from this buy, that ended up being a 13.5% gain. So not bad. And from my second buy, it ended up being a 9.5% gain. Um, Not a bad trade. Took advantage. I took some off when it looked weak. I kept some on because I thought there was still room for it to go, which was smart, and sold into the pop. So good trade. Made 30 bucks on it. That was the best trade of the day for me. And now we're going to go into how I overtraded BFRI, and the mistakes I made following this halt up. I thought that this halt was going to trigger. This is again me. What's the term? I'm trying to guess what the stock is going to do instead of letting it show me. Um, so obviously it just halted. It's super volatile. So why would I rush into a position? Good question. And I don't have a good answer for it. So I ended up taking a position. Let me get these out of the way because I added a couple times into this, and this is why I don't like adding, because it can open the door to screwing up massively like I did here. Let's see, 10, 12. So I bought right in this larger candle here at 779, not even a great position right here. And there was a reason that I got in there. Let me see here. Let me scroll back a little bit. Yeah, so I thought we might see some bottoming around 750. Um, I really don't have a good explanation for this. I thought we might see some bottoming around 750s, but that doesn't explain why I got in here. Really, just a trade where I missed a little bit of the move. Maybe 30% of this spike here. Let's just say, which of course you're not going to nail 100% of every spike or even 100% of any spike. Um, but I just got in early. I got in I just got in at a bad time. I shouldn't even say early. I mean, it's definitely early for what I wanted to do, and I just got in at a bad time. So if I just continue on, so that was my initial position here at 779. Then only 1 minute later, I added. Not a good idea. I mean, there should be at least a few minutes in between where you add, and this is the problem. 772, not even a good add. I didn't even get the bottom of this candle. So now I'm in double position with an average of about 775, give or take. Um, and, you know, hoping that it's going to hold 750s to 760. Um, just a stupid move to hold and hope. Tim Sykes talks about that a lot. So I got in this trade and now I'm holding and hoping. It continued lower. 1 minute here, it started bouncing. I thought that I did pretty good. But it just continued. I'm trying to catch a falling knife here. And then I added again at 1019. Um, right in here. I thought that we might see this double bottom. Market open spike was to here, and that's where um, we saw previous pre-market resistance. So I thought we might see some support, double bottom in here. But really, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020. Why are you going to test if it's a double bottom before it proves that? You're just putting your hand under the knife there. So I bought in here, or I added again in here at 743, right about there. So I mean, at least my ad was good, compared to the other bottoming here, the bottoming action here, but just not a good place to do it at all. So added in here, my risk was VWAP, or these highs here, right in between. So here's where I really screwed up. It got near VWAP, was looking weak. I said, oh well, it might bounce here at VWAP. When it cracked, I didn't sell. I froze up and I got nervous because I had three small positions in it, not smart, and obviously that increases how much you can lose if it breaks that risk. So um, I just didn't do a good job. I froze up. Good lesson for me. And I ended up selling it down in here at the 687. I just kept waiting for a bounce too, and these things aren't always going to bounce. I mean, and even looking at it now, you got VWAP here, and you can think of these things like a rubber band. If you stretch a rubber band one way and let it go, it's gonna bounce to the other side. Or I'm trying to think of a good metaphor for this, but basically the VWAP is like the central location. And if you have a big pull the one way, you're probably going to have a big pull the other way coming up. Um, so I really should have just kept that in mind. But, I sold down here. That was a 10% loss, $58 I was down. So I went from being up, I think like 35 on the day to being down 30. Um, Not great. I felt really awful after this trade, and I think I just stepped away. Yeah, I didn't look at the market again because I was just so disappointed that I let this happen. Um, you know, I felt like I was better than that, and that's the problem. You know, Tim Sykes often says, whenever you get a little cocky, the market humbles you, and I feel like that's just what's been happening lately. I had that decent day a couple days ago, and now the market's just humbling me. I mean, obviously, a factor could be the overall market, or a major factor is the overall market, but you know, this is, let's see, we were talking about the 25th, so you know, that was, or 26th rather. So that, I mean, that was a down day in the market. I mean, this is looking like toppy action. I'm curious to see what happens at this after today at this level, and going into next, or going into the rest of the week. I mean, is it going to continue to push, or is this 400 level going to prove to be more of a ceiling? So those are my trades for today. You know, I was upset with that last one. That really screwed up my day, but I ended up finishing up last week up $2, I believe. I think it was like 201 or 210 rather. My first green week being home, I mean, up $2. Hey, it's better than being down $2. So I just have to get way better, and I have to keep studying. I have to keep pushing, and eventually I'll get there. But that's all I got for today. You got any questions? Just let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.